The Minnesota Wild Podcast is presented exclusively by Acrisure.
It's time for Beyond the Pond on The Fan. Here are your hosts, Pat Michelleti and Kevin Falness.
Let's talk hockey!
Fire a shot, tipped wide by Zuccarello. It kicks free, 5 seconds to go. Boldy waits, Boldy shoots, blocked down in front, and that's going to do it. As Johansson gets to it, the Wild run out of time. As devastating a loss as maybe they've had all season. A playoff cushion really not having much padding to it at this point.
Yeah, they lose the game, I lose my voice. What else could go wrong here in the state of hockey? Welcome to Beyond the Pond. Kevin Falness with you, along with Brett Blakemore. Brett, I did not realize how bad it was until I jumped on with you and Cindy 5 minutes ago, and so this will be an adventure. I say buckle up there, fans.
Are you sick?
Not even a little. I feel
just
fine.
The voice.
I did the entire show last night. I think I got to bring it down a notch. Like, I like to talk a little louder. Maybe if I just talk like this, I can get through.
Be like a
problem.
Smooth jazz DJ or something.
Yeah, that is really in my wheelhouse, a smooth jazz DJ. Unfortunately, I got bad news. The Wild lost last night, and it was another lethargic effort. I want to get this straight. It is an effort. They don't lack effort. They lack results right now. And unfortunately, over the span of a week, that game at home against New Jersey and that game last night on Long Island, man, it just didn't have that playoff intensity from the Wild side, and it caught up to them. And last night, I've got some comments from the postgame that we'll play throughout the course of today's broadcast. But, man, that was tough. That was a tough one to sit through, and it's disappointing. And now they're on a razor-thin margin for error. They sit in the 8th spot in the Western Conference with 89 points. Calgary's just 5 points back and 2 games in hand. Yes, St. Louis has passed them, both 77 games in the books, and St. Louis leads them by 2 points. But, I mean, to me, I don't care where they finish. They have to finish in the top 8. You can't miss the playoffs after at one point leading the Central Division, the Western Conference, and the National Hockey League. But they've put themselves in a real precarious spot coming down the stretch.
You say the intensity wasn't there, but the effort wasn't a problem. Where do you?
Well, I mean, they have effort. They're just not getting results at this point. You can't say they're not trying. They're trying their ass off.
I'm not saying but like the intensity to me is effort. You know what I mean? Like bringing that playoff level intensity, like that is in the envelope that is effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get you.
So it's not like they're going out there and trying to.
They're busting their ass.
Figure eights.
They're busting their ass right now. They are not getting results, and it's all coming to a head. Let's get more information here from Mr. Pat Michelleti. I don't know how much of you watch there, Patrick. You are out there in Las Vegas. Let's start there. Happy birthday to Andrea, first and foremost.
Yes, and we got a pleasant surprise, and I have to get him back before the weekend is over. My brother Joe surprised us and flew in.
You're kidding me.
Yesterday, and so we had a little reunion out here, and it was great. Had a great dinner last night, and head to the concert tonight. And so, it was. It's been a good trip.
When is the concert? Have you gone to the concert yet?
Tonight.
Okay, so for the fans that don't know, we talked about this earlier this week. We talked about it last week as well. Sister Andrea celebrating her birthday, and you guys are going to the Sphere in Las Vegas to watch the Eagles. You guys got to be just super pumped about this.
Yeah, I from what I hear, it's just phenomenal and kind of a once in a lifetime deal, and so. Yes, we're really looking forward to it, and have a nice dinner beforehand, and head there, and then back tomorrow, Kevin. So, and hopefully, I'm going to bring some luck to this Wild team because I'm reading all over the negativity and this, that, and the other thing, and I look at it from a different perspective. They are still in the playoffs. It's theirs to gain or to lose. So. I'd rather have a 5 point cushion than be in the 9th spot and be chasing. So and I like your comment about the effort because they're working their asses off. They are trying. We know it goes back to the same thing that we've talked about, is that we all know they lack offense from within this group. Okay, the group that is currently playing, and those are the cards that they're dealt with, and you can look at the general manager and say, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? I'll go back to the point where they had what they had, right? And they were number one in the NHL at one point.
They were.
And you know what? It's where they are right now, and that's what we have to live with.
What did you think of last night? I don't know. Were you able to pay any attention to the game?
I caught a little bit of it, and what do we know about the New York Islanders? Whenever you play the New York Islanders, it's going to be a slow game. It's going to be a methodical game. It's going to be a hard game. They defend pretty well. That's kind of been the way that they play. And so, scoring goals was going to be hard. Now, you go back 2 nights before that, and they're playing the New York Rangers, who just say, guess what? We're not playing any D. You're going to have your chances to score.
Yep, exactly.
Unfortunately, they didn't win that game, but they got the point. But, so every team is a little bit different in the personnel that they have and the style that they play. And the Islanders game, I thought was going to be a much tougher game than the Rangers anyhow.
Yeah, it's too bad because they had an opportunity to finish off the road trip in style. If they could have got those 2 points last night, 4 out of 6 on the trip would have been fantastic. Instead, and they finally got a bounce to go their way. That puck that Zuccarello scored off the back of Sorokin's head was unbelievable. But in a flash, they tie it, and then they take the lead in the span of about 2.5 minutes. It's incredible how quickly things turn, and the Wild didn't have a response from that point forward. No, and I was thinking about this the other night, and when your forwards as a group are not producing on a nightly basis, and that's 1 through 4, whatever, and who we have to rely on to generate offense up front, and you hope to get some on the back half of that. But I would love to see our defensemen, and that's why I can't wait till they sign Bouillon, because I think he's going to give. I've changed my thought process on him in terms of getting him in the lineup. And I think that regardless when they're done, which is going to be next weekend, that you got to get him in the lineup. He's a guy that can produce some offense and open things up a little bit, which I really think that they're going to need heading into the playoffs. And by the way, Kevin, I'm not worried about this team making the playoffs. Okay.
How's that for you?
Good. I hope so. I hope you're absolutely right. Back to Zeev Bouillon. It takes a special player to jump right to the National Hockey League. We saw it with Brock Faber.
Yep.
We saw it with Cale Makar. Do you put Zeev Bouillon on that ilk?
I didn't earlier because his size is a little of a concern, but I just believe he is so talented and he's got that edge to him. And when he comes in here, and that really turned it for me, Kevin, when you watch the way he plays with an attitude like, I am good and I don't care who I'm playing against, that type of attitude. And so in comparison to a player who comes in and wants to just be the normal guy and get by and get his feet wet. And I think he'll come in with, jump right in and want to be part of it, want to be, a fixture for this team in the playoffs, and I think he will. I think he's that good of a player.
That would be a huge shot in the arm, and then you throw on top of that the potential of Kaprizov returning potentially even as soon as Wednesday, and hopefully Jules Eriksson sometime after that. That's the jolt that this team needs. I mean, I don't know how else they're going to get it unless it comes in the form of these three individuals.
Well, Kevin, I think, listen, you put those two back in your lineup, you have a completely different team. And what I mean by that is, I always talk about this, and it probably drives people crazy, but you get slotted where you should be. And you're playing against, instead of a bottom six guy having to play against the top six guy all the time, you get to play in your slotted position where you belong. And if you look at the beginning of the year where guys were in the lineup and what their responsibilities were, this team was number one in the NHL. Like it, don't believe it, whatever. They accumulated enough points at one time to be the best team in the National Hockey League.
Yep.
We can argue whether they were the best team in the National Hockey League, but they accumulated enough points to get there. And so once you get a neck back, once you get a Kaprizov back, your power play changes, your penalty kill changes, your 5-on-5 wholeheartedly changes, and then you add a Bulliam to that back end, and you've got, I don't know the extent of Middleton's injury.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know if you've heard anything. I saw the hit. Oh, my God.
I wanted to ask you about that, too. They're going to practice. They're not practicing today, so we won't see them again until tomorrow. Probably no further update until tomorrow afternoon when the Wild host the Dallas Stars. But what did you think of the hit? I mean, the end result was awful. It looked disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, he got launched into the end boards by Bo Horvat, who I don't think he had any malice behind it. But Jesus,
no.
I can't believe that wasn't a 5-minute major.
Well, here's what happens, right? Look at how fast Middleton is going, right?
Yep.
And Horvat also. And if you saw, it was just a slight push. But that slight push
it launched
made
him.
Middleton lose his balance or whatever. And when you're 10 feet from the boards and then you go, and you pick up speed, right? Once you hit that ice.
Oh, my God.
And, it looked far worse than the actual shot from Horvat because it was his left hand, right?
Yep.
And it wasn't like an egregious push either. It was just enough to get Middleton to lose his balance, fall down, and go head first into the boards.
Man, at that speed, I just can't imagine. And the worst part about it was the collision with the boards, but the TV camera was going from his skates up, and his legs were shaking, man. I mean, it was one of the scariest moments I've witnessed in a hockey game, maybe ever. Thank God he got up. Thank God he got off the ice, mostly under his own power. But man, that guy was in La La Land. He had no idea where he was.
So was the initial contact with the boards? Was it his head or his shoulder?
It was face first. In my opinion, I got to go look at it again. I didn't think it was shoulder. I thought it was eyebrows.
Oh, hello?
Yeah. What'd you say?
Oh, no, I said I couldn't get a great angle on it, so I didn't see if his head had hit first or the shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, in my opinion, it was face first, but I guess I could be wrong. And I know there's some conjecture.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that you say right now, you're guessing as to what exactly he's going through, but I just know the end result was not good. I can't believe it wasn't a 5-minute penalty, and I guarantee you, from listening or watching Russo's Twitter, I guarantee it doesn't look like Bill Guerin was too happy with that non-call as well. It was a 2-minute minor. I think it should have been a 5-minute major. That should have been a 5-minute power play, no?
Well, hey, you've known my stance on hits from behind near the boards.
Yep.
And some people agree, some people don't disagree. Anytime you see the numbers like that and you give a push I think it's a major penalty.
Yeah.
I know the game is fast, and I know the reaction's quick, and Horvat probably didn't mean it, and blah blah blah, but I don't care. You see too many of liberties being taken, and I'm not calling that a liberty. That he was taking a egregious shot at him, but regardless, you even said it. You didn't think Horvat was going to, to try to make a dirty play. No. But it didn't matter if it was
the end result.
Meant or not meant.
Yep.
It was from behind, and you automatically that should automatically be a major.
Yep, I could not agree more. Who knows if it would have had any impact on the hockey game, but that should have been a 5-minute major. Regardless, the Wild end up losing to the New York Islanders, and they grabbed 2 out of 6 points on a very important 3-game trip out east. So why don't we cut you loose? We'll talk to you again at the top of the hour.
I'll be waiting. Anxiously for the call.
I look forward to it as well. Pat Michelleti out there getting ready to see the Eagles at the Sphere. That'll be awesome for him and his sister, Andrea, celebrating her birthday. What a way to celebrate it at the Sphere, watching the Eagles. I don't know that I would pick the Eagles to have my first experience at the Sphere. They were something in the 70s. I don't know in 2025 what they look like at this point in time, but I don't know. I'm sure it'll be a blast. Whichever members are left, I should have asked him that as well. But I will definitely look forward to the recap once the concert is over. Why don't we do this? We got Brett Blakemore's breakaways coming up. We also have Joe O'Donnell at the bottom of the hour. Next hour, Frank Seravalli, one of the best NHL insiders. The guy is plugged in. We'll talk to him in about an hour and a half from now. So that'll be good stuff. I want to work you into the broadcast as well. I still got some tickets to give away. I got a pair for tomorrow against the Dallas Stars. There's 2 other home games beyond that. Tickets going out the door here for that cool iHeart Radio Talkback feature. You tell us what your level of concern is. Awful time to be asking this question, but your level of concern here for this Minnesota Wild team as we make our way into the final 5 games of the regular season. I know where Brett Blakemore stands. You heard where Pat Michelleti stands. Where are you at? Our best and our favorite talkbacks of the day will get rewarded with tickets. All you got to do is go to that free iHeartRadio app and give us your 2 cents, and it could win you a pair of tickets. If you don't win and you want to go, wild.com/hockey tickets. I'm going to drink some coffee. We'll be back on the other side of the break. You're listening to Beyond the Pond.
This is Kevin Gorg, and I'll give you hundreds of reasons to listen to Michelleti.
Whoa.
Good, hundreds. It's Beyond the Pond on the Fan.
Dude, the Eagles are the real deal. Doesn't matter that they're all in their 70s. Saw them a few years ago at XL Energy Center. One of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. So don't discount them just because they're old. Really, really tired, old, cliched take. They're great. Joe from Minneapolis.
All right, Joe. Calm down. I'm not calling them old.
Kevin.
Half of them aren't alive anymore is part of my point. They're not the same Eagles that we remember watching back in the day. But I like the Eagles. My wife hates them for some reason, so I don't get to listen to them all that often. But I watched their little documentary, took you behind the scenes of some of the ins and outs and the turmoil of their past. But I'm glad to see they're thriving, and I'm sure it'll be an awesome show at the Sphere. I can't wait to hear the review from Pat Michelleti and the 84 Micheletis that are out there to watch them in person. I think watching paint dry at the Sphere would be awesome. I think it's just a cool venue, and I hope the Eagles bring it for the Micheletis. I'm sure it'll be awesome. I can't wait. So just calm down, Joe. I didn't mean to bring a tired old cliche that they're old and in their 70s, but at the same time, not all of them are even alive anymore. So let's get to Brett Blakemore's breakaways.
It's time for Brett Blakemore's breakaway.
Here's a break. Kaprizov in alone. Nobody going to catch him. Kaprizov score!
That sounds nice.
And
boy, that would be nice.
Blakemore's breakaway.
As mentioned, bottom of the hour, we got Joe O'Donnell back from the trip out east. He'll join us in, 15 minutes or so. And then we've got Frank Seravalli in an hour after that to kind of close out the show. A little NHL insider action, talk Alex Ovechkin and everything else going on in the world of the National Hockey League. But now, it's Brett Blakemore's breakaways.
Well, the question to all the talkbackers is the DEFCON, the concern level for the Wild making the playoffs. We've got a couple, we've got a couple Debbie Downers. We got a couple optimists that the Wild are just fine, and we got to keep on going, and everything's going to be great. And I'll play a lot of those coming back. But I'm in the former camp. I think this is not just the Wild are getting unlucky, and there's just a couple bad bounces and a couple bad puck lucks. Like, this is one win in their last 7.
Yeah.
This is winless in their last 4. This is more than just a bad run of form. This is bad news. And the Flames with the 2 games in hand, especially the game against the Wild in Calgary. I mean, that could be a win and in or a lose and out type game potentially. But so we've heard mine.
Yeah.
We've heard Pat's, who thinks they're fine and they're great and they're a great hockey team, the best in the NHL.
Yeah.
Where are you, Kevin Falness? Where is your concern level?
I get it. Anyone that's nervous about their standing in the standings right now, I totally get it. They've lost 4 straight. They've lost 6 of their last 7 overall. They've dropped 5 straight on the road. They haven't won on the road since March 4th.
That's a problem.
Granted, 7 in a row were at home, and they had a run of 10 of 11 at XL Energy Center, but they haven't won at home since March 4th when they were at Seattle. They just went 0-1-2 on a road trip where they desperately needed a victory. If they could have pulled out a win last night against an Islanders team that, by the way, had lost 6 in a row and, by the way, had been mailing it in, there's turmoil between Waugh and Duclair, and there was just an opportunity to kick them while they're down, and it didn't happen. Even when you had the first goal of the hockey game, you're skating with a 1-0 advantage, it all goes away in a real big hurry. So I get it. If there's people out there that are sounding the alarm and ready to jump off the bandwagon, you've had enough and you're mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore, I get it. But I just tell you, listening to the guys in the locker room and watching them give it their all, they're not getting results right now. And it has to be frustrating. Top to bottom, the guys behind the bench, the guys on the bench, the guys on the ice, the guys in the locker room. This has to be one of the most frustrating times in any of their playing careers. And it shows on the ice right now. The frustration, they're wearing it on their face. It's annoying as hell to watch. It's just too bad that they couldn't figure out a way to get one win on this road trip. So my level of concern, I'm with Pat. I still think they make the playoffs, but man, oh man, tomorrow's going to be as tough as they come. I mean, the Dallas, as hot as the St. Louis Blues are, the Dallas Stars are right there with them. 7 straight victories, and they're beating anybody and everybody. The schedule lightens up a little bit after that, but you got to get through tomorrow, and who knows, stun everyone in St. Paul, come away with a huge win, a wonderful effort, and then maybe you start getting some reinforcements back in the lineup. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Robertson, Rantanen, Duchesne,
Johnson. They've got a powerful lineup. I get it. Jake Ottinger.
Ottinger. Yeah, we could go down the list. Here's a couple talkbacks. One from each camp, whether it's your side or my side on this. Here's one.
In the words of Paul Charchian and the Fantasy Football Weekly guys, I have a bowel-loosening level of existential dread when it comes to the Wild making the playoffs.
Ish.
Gotta start winning some games, fellas.
And then here's the other side.
Hey, Falness and Brett. The Wild's performance is about as good as Falness's voice.
Wow. Jeez, yeah, that's real funny.
That's all right. There's still a few games left. There is hope. We're still in the playoffs as it is, and we beat the Flames. I'm pretty sure we're going to make it, and anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's go Wild.
Amen. Thank you for that talk back.
I want to live in that world.
Well, first of all, like Pat said, to his point, they are in the driver's position. They hold the destiny in their own hands. Now, the problem is they haven't been playing well lately. They haven't been getting results. And last night and last Saturday, why would you have a lot of hope right here, right now? But in the grand scheme of things, if they can get themselves out of this funk, and it'll only fall on their shoulders, they can only look at each other and work it through together. There's no reinforcements coming other than these injured guys that are coming back. But right
we
now,
don't know what's coming back either. That's
exactly it. But these 20 guys are the ones that are going to have to work themselves out of this funk that they're in, and then we'll see where it goes. But they are still in the driver's seat. As we look right now, they are in the top 8 in the Western Conference.
And there's 2 more I want to get to if we have time. I know we're pushing it, but the one is with the Middleton hit, which is just unfortunate. You broke down it should be a major. I don't think it was a dirty intentional play, but
I agree.
But I agree it probably should have been a major. Just really unfortunate. It stinks. I want to word this correctly. an unintended consequence of that, could that open the door for Zeev to play some playoff games potentially?
Yeah, I mean,
because I don't want this to happen at the expense of someone getting seriously injured. I'm just stating that might be a consequence of an injury, an unfortunate injury that may happen.
Here's my thinking. If everyone is healthy, even though Pat thinks he'd jump right into the lineup and would play playoff hockey, I don't think... I think if everybody's healthy and you got 7 healthy defensemen outside of Zeev Buium, I don't know that he cracks the lineup in the postseason. Depending on what happens, he's going to get 1 game probably. That's it after everything concludes next week at the Frozen Four. I don't know. Pat thinks he can jump right in like a Brock Faber, like a Cale Makar. I don't know. I don't know enough of him to know if he's that level. Pat says he is, and I'll take his word for it. I just don't think he cracks the lineup if everyone's healthy. I think he does get a regular season game. I don't see him in the playoffs unless something unforeseen happens, an injury or the Wild fall down and they need a spark. Then it could come in the form of a Zeev Buium. So I don't know at this point.
I don't like to defend Pat often, but he did call that with Brock Faber that he'd jump. He was very certain about that, and he was right.
He predicted Brock Faber in the Hockey Hall of Fame one day when he was still a freshman at the University of Minnesota.
He had his eye on him for a long time.
He has projected him to great heights, no question about it. And he's lived up to it thus far. His NHL career has been fantastic, and it's only going to get better. And you're right. Pat Michelleti saw the forest through the trees on that prognostication.
Well, that's a Pat Michelleti victory lap. I want to take my own victory lap here.
Okay.
If longtime listeners of maybe this program or just me on the Fan, if you recall back years ago, I was a big fan of one particular player when he came into the Minnesota Wild because at the time, the team had a lot of passers. They had a lot of guys who weren't willing to shoot the puck.
Oh, we're talking Ryan Donato.
We're talking Ryan Donato.
At first, I thought you were talking Tyler Ennis. I go, how is he going to work this in? But okay, Ryan Donato, yep.
My whole argument back then, because he was stuck on the third and fourth line, and they paired him with grinders who did their job defensively because they were concerned that Ryan Donato didn't play a 200-foot game. So they put him in the third and fourth lines. And my whole argument at that point was, if you give him top line or top 6 minutes, he is going to score. And I was roundly laughed at and saying, this guy he's too small, he's not big enough, he's not physical enough, not going to make it. Here we are, looking at his stats. He's played 3 less games than Boldy and Rossi on a bad team, but he's on the top line. He has more goals than both of them. He has more points than Rossi, and he's only, 5 points behind Boldy with 3 less games played. He's lighting it up. Another goal scorer that we threw away because he wasn't big enough. I just want to take my victory lap and say, if he was on a top line, even on a bad team, you know how bad Chicago is this year? And he's still scoring because he's on a top line. I'm just saying, to me, I feel like I deserve another Jack Eichel-like victory lap.
Oh, my God. You patting yourself on the back is deafening all across the great state of hockey. I agree. Maybe we didn't give Ryan Donato enough credit, but I would like to see him do it on a team when the bullets are real. I mean, he's doing it on a team that's pretend at this point. He's playing with Connor Bedard, and there's nothing else. It's the two of them, basically. I mean, their next best scorer is Nick Foligno. Love Nick Foligno. But, I mean, honestly, they've got nothing going for them with the Chicago Blackhawks right now, and everybody knows it.
I'd almost argue it's more impressive because they've got nothing to play for, and the guy's still putting up points.
Yeah.
Well, so, on a bad team.
I would like to see him do it when the bullets are flying and it's a real contest. I just think he's in play make-believe land at this point.
I'd take him on our second line with Matt Boldy and Rossi. I'd take that over some of the offensive play we've seen lately.
Yeah, I get it. Listen to me.
Anyways,
if Kaprizov is in this lineup and everyone's slotted where they're supposed to be, if Sam Butts were candy and nuts every day, it would be Christmas. I get it. But if we could slot everyone where they're supposed to be in this lineup, man, it would be a whole different situation. But it hasn't been that way since Christmas. It's unbelievable how long this malaise has gone on, and right now the Wild are paying the price in the standings. Again, still in the driver's seat. 2 games in hand do the Calgary Flames have on the Minnesota Wild, but it's up to the Wild to get themselves out of this. Get past the Dallas Stars, figure out a point tomorrow against the Stars, and then you get an opportunity to beat up on the San Jose Sharks. You get to face off against the Calgary Flames next Friday in their barn, but an opportunity to you hold your destiny in your own hands. If you slink down the stretch, you deserve what you get. But I think this team is better than these past few results have indicated. Anyway, a fantastic job once again by Brett Blakemore and his breakaways. We'll take a break now, and then when we continue, the voice of the Minnesota Wild on FM 100.3 The Fan, Joe O'Donnell joins us to talk everything and anything about your Minnesota Wild.
Let's not talk about being in a funk and feeling sorry for ourselves. Like, this was a game. We knew coming in, you have 4 out of 6 points. We didn't have the required intensity level, attention to detail. So there's nothing to feel sorry for yourselves. Like, we didn't play the game we needed to play to win. Now, in saying that, if we came out and played a heck of a game and lost, I could see where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. But there should be no feeling sorry for ourselves. Right. There should be like, this is the best time of year and we're in a position. We got to be way better than we were tonight.
John Hines in the postgame show last night after a 3-1 loss to the New York Islanders. We listened to it. We watched it. The guy that was calling it, Joe O'Donnell, voice of the Minnesota Wild, right here on FM 100.3 The Fan. Joe, welcome to Beyond the Pond. How was the trip back from New York?
It was okay, Kevin. Got back here probably about 2 a.m., I think, by the time I got in my car and started to head back to the burbs. So pretty much as expected there. Obviously, it was, kind of a somber atmosphere, to say the least. Quiet bus ride to the plane, stuff like that. So, but look, I agree with what John Hines had to say. I really do. And sounds like you took last night's loss pretty tough with the way you sound today. I understand you're not feeling that great, but Kevin, don't take it personally.
Listen to me. I feel great. That's the most annoying part about it. I jumped on the mic with Dave Sinekin and Brett Blakemore before the show, and that's when I realized, oh, my God, I don't know what happened to me. We had that viewing party last night, and I talked for like 5 hours straight to different fans and then doing the show and all that other good stuff, but I had no idea it was gone until I cracked the mic 5 minutes before the show today. So I don't know how to explain it.
Well, it must have been all the screaming you were doing at the Wild goals they scored.
Yes, exactly. Well, what do you take away from that game? I mean, they get that first goal of the game, and I know it was a wacky one that Zuccarello just kind of swiped at, banks it off the back of Sorokin's head, but they finally get a bounce to go in their favor, and then like that, it's over.
I said that to Kevin Gorg on the flight back last night for FanDuel Sports North. I was like, that's the crazy thing is like this team's been begging for a bounce, right? It feels like they haven't gotten one really in weeks. I mean, you can look at a goal goes off Justin Brazo's skate during the homestand, that goes in. Like, that's a bounce. The Zuccarello goal, that's a bounce. But I could probably count on one hand the last 2-3 weeks that we feel like, okay, that was puck luck. So it was very deflating, in my opinion, to just seconds later give it right back on a puck that, quite frankly, should have been cleared out of the defensive zone by Minnesota. It's just I don't know what happened on the play, to be honest, but it was just, certainly had to be disappointing to give it right back up. And I guess from right now, you got to look at it with 5 games to go. You could take the glass half full approach. You could take the glass half empty approach. You could take a little bit of both. But this team is still in a playoff spot. I encourage Wild fans to be rooting hard for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight when they play in Calgary. Vegas has dropped 2 in a row. I expect them to put their best foot forward, knowing LA is creeping up on them for the Pacific Division lead all of a sudden. Calgary has 7 games left. But if the Wild, and this might be a big if the Wild wins 3 of their last 5, and I know that seems like a lot right now because they've won once in their last 7, but if they win 3 of their last 5, and they acquire 6 more points in the standings, Calgary could only lose 1 more game the rest of the way. And you look at it, if the Wild go into Calgary and beat them, like that could be elimination time for the Flames. So I know it looks bleak. I know the team is battling. I'm sure they're mentally exhausted. I'm sure it's draining on them right now that they're not finding success. They're working hard. I don't question.
No. Don't make me talk, Joe. He hanged up on us. Let's get him back on the line here. And I understand what he's saying. I heard that click, and maybe his dog jumped into the action. I could hear Fido barking in the background. But that's the beauty of this thing. Again, going back to both Joe and Michelletti's point, the Wild are in the driver's seat here. It might not feel like it after they slink out of a 3-game trip out east and grab just a measly 2 out of 6 points, but they've got 5 games left on the schedule. And the toughest of all the opponents is going to be the Dallas Stars, and that's coming up tomorrow afternoon, a matinee at XL Energy Center, pregame at 1:45, puck drops at 2:15. You got the head-to-head matchup with the Calgary Flames next Friday, but beyond that, you got the San Jose Sharks on home ice. You go to Vancouver, a team that's basically mailed it in. I guess they're not dead completely, but they're on life support. And then, of course, the Anaheim Ducks, who is everybody's punching bag. So there is an opportunity here for the Wild to go into the playoffs face first, not to back in. And if they can get it done, that would be a great thing, and especially if they can get out of this malaise of John Hines doesn't want to say that they're in a funk. There's no reason to feel sorry for themselves, but they need something to get that positivity back in that locker room. And like Joe O'Donnell was saying, there wasn't a lot of positivity in the room or in the bus ride or the plane back to the state of hockey. We lost you there mid-sentence there, Joe. You were talking about how the Wild, despite what happened out east, they do still hold destiny in their own hands.
Yeah, I don't know where I lost you, Kevin. Maybe that's a bad omen. But I was starting to say on the glass half full side, like, this team has worked its tail off. I don't ever question the effort. I don't think it's fair to question the effort. You look at the lineup they're putting out there. It's, they're not going to make the excuses for it, but the realist would look at it and say most nights, they're the underdog on paper. That could change in the coming days with Kaprizov and Eriksson nearing return. Then all of a sudden you slot guys in different spots and maybe you feel way more comfortable about the Wild. Maybe they start to regain some confidence. But, again, if they can win 3 of the last 5, Calgary would have to basically run the table. They could only lose once. Their schedule is a little bit easier after playing Vegas tonight. I think they have the Sharks twice and the Ducks once, or vice versa. But they do also have Vegas a second time, and they do have L.A. Now, that game's interesting, and I've said this a few times on air, because it is 2 days after the Wild play their final game. It's a postponed game from the L.A. Fires. So the Flames and Kings are the last game on the NHL docket a day after everybody else wraps up and 2 days after the Wild wrap up. I don't want to be sitting there scoreboard watching that game at Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub with the Wild's playoff fate in the balance. There's a chance it could come down to that. I would just be absolutely miserable in that environment. But, that is a real possibility right now. If the Wild don't win at least 3 of the next 5, that, the longer they kind of stay in a little bit of this middle ground, they give Calgary a chance to kind of creep closer.
What did you make? We've been talking a lot about it and opening the show with Michelleti about the Middleton hit. Horvat drives him face first into the end boards. Sounds like Bill Guerin not happy in the post game with the reporters and John Hines. Really upset the fact that it wasn't a 5-minute major. Whether there was intent or not, it looked ugly, Joe. What did you think?
Yeah, it was dangerous. I don't think there was an intent. You could just tell by Horvat's reaction. It was like one of those, oh, God.
Yeah, agreed.
With Bill Guerin's post-game reaction, if I'm being completely candid, I immediately kind of second-guessed myself, because on the air, I said to Tom Reed going into that intermission a few minutes later, like, it's frustrating for the Wild. You could tell John Hines is frustrated because all you get out of that is a 2-minute power play, and you're going to lose Middleton now for who knows how long, but definitely the rest of last night's game. And but really, if there's not intent to injure, I don't think you can call anything else than what was called. So obviously the GM and president of hockey operations, the coaching staff, players, maybe they feel differently. But the way Bill Guerin was reacting to it after the game made me go, man, did I not see it right on the replay? Did I not relay it correctly to the fans? So my initial reaction was dangerous. Probably not intentional. Gosh, I guess it's just only a 2-minute call, as much as that stinks for the Wild. Obviously, the brass, the players, the coaches, they might feel a little differently. I'm sure Middleton feels differently. Just a tough situation for a team that, again, continues to feel like, they're on the wrong side of things when it comes to some of these situations and the injury bug.
And speaking of injury bug, there's no way to predict. I don't think anybody really knows until they step out there on the ice. But what is your prediction for the return of Kirill Kaprizov and Jules Eriksson Ek. It feels like most are predicting that Kaprizov will be on home ice Wednesday against the Sharks. Do you buy into that? And how far behind is Jules Eriksson Ek in your mind?
Well, if I had a guess, I don't know the specifics of the injuries. We just were kind of given a very vague timeline on Kaprizov, and we were told 6 to 8 weeks for Eriksson Ek. I honestly haven't looked at the math yet for Eriksson Ek to see, are we week 5 now?
I think we're week 6.
Yeah, I think this week coming up, I think Monday or Tuesday might be 6 weeks. So, just knowing Jules Eriksson Ek, okay, I've been around him a long time. You have as well. And Kaprizov, too. They are A and A1 competitors on this Wild team, right? You don't list the top Wild, big-time gamers, fight through anything guys, and you don't go 3 or 4 names without naming one of those 2 guys. I don't care what your list looks like. So, to me, if Kaprizov plays Wednesday, I don't see how Eriksson Ek doesn't play Wednesday. In fact, if you were going to ask me 2 weeks ago, I'd been like Eriksson Ek's back first, because if it really was just a break, we saw how quickly he came back a few years ago. Now, maybe that was, him just being a little psychotic, and it didn't work out for the Wild. As we know, he re-broke that leg on the first shift. So I understand caution with him, but I just don't see how you keep a guy like that out of the lineup if the doctors are saying, okay, everything's progressing properly. And same for 97. So if neither of them play tomorrow, which again, I don't really anticipate they will, but I guess we could find out tomorrow something's changed. I'd be kind of stunned if both of them aren't back Wednesday, especially if if you don't have success tomorrow against the Stars. You got 4 games left. You have to win at least 2, maybe 3 of them. You better get your horses back in the lineup if the doctors say it to go.
The other thing that we've been banding about, and I got slammed on the text machine, 64686, about the fact that Zeev Buium, I don't know that he's ready to step into an NHL lineup. I haven't watched him as much as a Pat Michelleti. Michelleti says there's no doubt he'll be in the lineup most likely for Game 1 should the Wild make the playoffs. I don't know how much you've seen of Zeev Buium. I don't know how much you've talked about him with different folks, but would you be surprised if I know he's a talented individual, but we're talking about NHL big boy hockey. Do you think he can jump right in the lineup and supplant, say, a Chisholm or a Merrill, or do you go with what you know, especially going into the playoffs?
Well, I don't know enough about Zeev Buium's game, honestly. I've watched him World Juniors. I watched him a little bit Denver, probably last year. I haven't seen him play 1 second of Denver hockey this year. I'm just going to be candid with you.
Yep.
So I'll tell you this. I'll just go off kind of the vibe I get and knowing what a big stage that is to step into. And pre-Middleton injury, I would have said, he's probably not in the lineup Game 1 if you make the playoffs. Post-Middleton injury, maybe there's a door that's cracked open for him. I just feel like the Wild coaching staff is going to want to see him. Seeing him, watching him play at XL and the NCHC or watching him on TV is one thing. Getting him in person, getting him on the ice, seeing him interact with his teammates, chemistry, systems, all that stuff. Yes, it'd be nice to play him the last game of the year against Anaheim. If your playoffs are, if everything's locked up, it's a perfect time to get him a game and see what he's got. I do think that next year and moving forward, he's a power play guy and he can be an everyday NHL player. I don't think anybody in the organization doubts that. I just don't think that, 10 days, 2 weeks from now, 2.5 weeks from now, if everybody's healthy, he's guaranteed a spot by any means. He's going to have to earn it. He's going to have to prove to the coaches that his two-way game is there and that he can handle the speed and the physicality of the NHL, because they're very comfortable with John Merrill and Declan Chisholm.
Yeah.
Some fans might not be, some media members might not be, but I can tell you that the Wild staff, and they've shown it all year, are comfortable with those guys. So I think still very much up in the air for Buium. He's an exciting prospect. Can't wait till he gets here. Wishing it was now, obviously, so we could see what he's got, practices and games. But for now, I think fans that think, Game 1, he's running the power play or he's going to get 15 minutes, I would table that expectation.
Yeah, and who knows? It might have been different if they got eliminated early on in the NCAA tournament, and he's not, sitting idle waiting for the Frozen Four next weekend in St. Louis. Maybe it's a different scenario, but at this point in time, the soonest that he could join the team most likely is for the finale against the Anaheim Ducks on the 15th, and that's the only game that you're going to see of him on a pro level before the playoffs start. It's a different scenario if he's here right now and with this team for 2 weeks, and whether he's in the lineup or not, just being around the guys and getting comfortable, he's not going to have that luxury.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. It's a big, it would have been a big opportunity for him. It's a tough break for the Wild to see Denver have this great success again. It's great for William. It's great for the Pioneers. Great for college hockey. He's an outstanding elite player. But had he been here now, like a Jimmy Snuggerud in St. Louis, you can integrate him and you can see, okay, now Middleton's out. Well, let's give this kid a chance. We need a spark. He's proven in practice he can handle the pace and he's grasped the systems. But if the Wild haven't clinched anything going into that last game against Anaheim and they need a win to get in or win and help to get in, well, we hope it doesn't get to that. But I don't know if you throw him in for that game either. It's just he might have to wait his time. So, again, just the vibe I've gotten, not a knock on him at all. He's going to be an outstanding NHL player from everything I've gathered. But it is not easy to do what Brock Faber and Cale Makar have done and other players that have jumped right in. It's a very difficult transition, and it's not a game in November, right? And honestly, it's kind of the same thing with Kaprizov and Eriksson coming back. You're not throwing these guys back into a November Wednesday night game against the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep.
Like, you're asking them to come in where the stakes are the highest. Now, they're elite stars. They could probably handle the transition better than anyone, but it's still not going to be easy for either of those guys, let alone a rookie and a kid that's never played in the NHL like William.
That is the voice of Joe O'Donnell. He'll be on the play-by-play mic tomorrow, along with Tom Reed. Pregame at 1:45. Puck drops at 2:15. Wild taking on a very good Dallas Stars team. I'll let you go on that note, Joe. The Blues are the hottest team in hockey right now. They've won 11 in a row. They get it done in unbelievable and inconceivable fashion, night in, night out. The second hottest team is coming to St. Paul tomorrow in the Dallas Stars. Wild have had their tough times with all the teams that are on the top of the standings in the Western Conference. The Stars are no different. How do they at least eke a point out of tomorrow and get some positivity back in that room?
Well, I'm feeling better about things than I was maybe second intermission and immediately after the game last night. So here's my message to Wild fans. Stay positive, okay? Help is coming. There are a couple of winnable games on the schedule. Now, you got to take care of that business, but there are 2 winnable games against San Jose and Anaheim at home on the schedule. You win one more game out of the next 3, and you're going to make it very difficult on the Calgary Flames and Vancouver Canucks to catch you. So as bad as this has been, as painful as it's been the last couple of weeks with just a win or 2 on the docket, they can do it. They're in a position to do it. They believe they can do it. And so support this team, cheer your butts off, stay positive. They're going to get it done. This team, every time we've counted them out, has responded, and they're being counted out right now by a lot of people. So tomorrow, with Dallas coming in on a back-to-back, let's see if the Wild can jump on them early. They've beaten the Stars already once this year. They played them well every single time this season. I expect Minnesota to play like a swagger, determined, and feisty game tomorrow, and we'll see when the final horn sounds, if they found success, and if not, they turn the page, and the pressure tightens up a little bit, but they got to stay with it because this team it's a way too talented team. They've been too resilient all year to let this thing slip away. I think they'll get it done.
I'm going to throw you a softball here, and I'm going to throw it underhand, and I want you to take me deep, all the way into the deep reaches of the bleachers. We've been talking a lot about Sam Rosen this year, Nick Nixon, some of the guys that are in the twilight of their career broadcasting games in the National Hockey League. One guy that I don't think gets talked enough about, that I've worked with for now 25 years, is Mr. Tom Reed. I'm not saying this is the end of the line for Tom, but how much have you appreciated working with Tom? You probably appreciated his work from afar before being a partner with him the last few years. What's it been like to work with the legend that is Tom Reed?
It's unbelievable. I feel very fortunate, Kevin, to be honest. He's like, I've said this about Marc-Andre Fleury, and I truly mean it about him. I know Tom Reed way better than Marc-Andre Fleury, and I really mean it about him. He is a Hall of Fame person, and the ability he has to grind out a long season at his age and everything that he has done for the game of hockey, hopefully is recognized appropriately whenever he wraps up his career. I hope that's not soon. I love the man to death. So I hope he stays with it. I don't know what that looks like. Tom will never talk about that, as you know. But he deserves to be sent off the right way whenever that is. He deserves all the accolades that should come his way. Just an unbelievable person. He prepares every game like it's the Stanley Cup Final Game 7. And he wants his team to win as bad as anybody. And I've seen, glimpses, especially down the stretch. He's frustrated, too, watching this team. In a lot of ways, he is Mr. Minnesota Wild. You think about people that have been around the organization for as long as he has. It's a very, very short list. He's seen it all. He deserves to be appreciated. I think he is so well respected and appreciated by the organization, the fans, and again, just super deserving. Great person. Welcomed me to the organization. Helped me with the transition better than I could have ever imagined. Just a great human being. Love working with him, and he takes a lot of pride in this job.
Well said. We'll see you at the rink tomorrow.
All right, thanks, brother.
That is the voice of the Minnesota Wild, Joe O'Donnell, from his posh spot somewhere in the Twin Cities suburbs, back from New York, where the Wild unfortunately squandered an opportunity, lost 3-1 to the Islanders last night, a chance to make amends there in front of the home crowd tomorrow. Hopefully they put on a good show. Again, the pregame at 1:45, puck drops at 2:15, right here on FM 100.3 The Fan. When we continue, we'll get back to some of your talkbacks. What are your thoughts right now on the Minnesota Wild? Does Joe talk you off the ledge? Did Pat talk you off the ledge? Am I talking you off the ledge? Or is it Brett Blakemore there? It's all doom and gloom. The sky is falling.
Encouraging you to jump.
Is he pushing you off the ledge? Where do you stand at this point in time? I get it if you're frustrated. You have every right to be. Hopefully, the Wild give you reason to smile here over the course of these final 5 games, including tomorrow against the Dallas Stars. So keep those talkbacks coming. We're giving away tickets, including to tomorrow's game against the Stars. We've also got some other tickets for down the road as well. And you get your opportunity. We'll pick a random talkback as we move forward. But when we continue, back to Las Vegas, we're going to check in with Pat Michelleti next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Wild head coach John Hines, and you're listening to Beyond the Pond with Falness and Michelleti on KFAN.
Hey, Minnesota Wild fans, and more importantly, the Minnesota Wild hockey team. This is Craig Mack from Minnetonka, Minnesota. We just have to believe in our hockey team. More importantly, our hockey team needs to believe in themselves. They just need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and get down to business. If they lack the inspiration.
Good morning, boys. This is Troy from Farmington. Another great show. Listen every week. You ask about the concern about the Wild playoff situation. I think we're entering threat level midnight. And with the Flames having 2 games in hand and only down 5, I really think it's a 2-man horse race for that number 8 spot. You assume they win those 2 and they pull within 1. I think when it's all said and done, it's all going to come down to next Friday night when the Wild are at Calgary for what could be a 1-game play-in you're in.
Yeah, that's proving to be the big showdown coming up next week in Calgary. Next Friday, 6 short days from now, Wild and Flames battling at the Saddledome. First, you got a 2-game homestand, home tomorrow against the Dallas Stars, home against the Sharks on Wednesday. So an opportunity between now and then to, who knows, put it away if things break the right direction. But you can understand why the threat level is at midnight, as according to that talkback user. Get in on those. We'll get to more of those as the show rolls forward. Still an hour to go. We got Frank Seravalli joining at the bottom of the hour. Now we go back to Vegas and check in with Pat Michelleti. Probably need to take a little break from the Wild, Patrick, as we look at what else is going on in the world of hockey, because the Frozen Four right around the corner. We know who's going to be there. Now they just sit idle for a week and get ready for the trip to St. Louis.
I'm not gonna get away from the Wild for 1 second.
Okay.
Because you just and we can talk about the important game being next Friday night.
Yep.
I think the most important game, Kevin, is that home game against the Sharks. You need to win that one.
Yep.
That one might be the difference in whether they make the playoffs or not. Okay?
Yep.
Because you've got a 4-point cushion. I know the Flames have 2 games in hand. Do the math, blah, blah, blah. I just think that game could be the difference maker. How's that for you?
Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to figure out a way to squeak a point out of the Stars tomorrow. No one expects that, but it would still, this team, they do have the ability to compete, and they have beat the Stars once this year already. Yeah. They have the opportunity tomorrow to plant their flag at center ice and say, okay, enough of this BS. Let's be done with this and show that we belong in the conversation of a top 8 team in the Western Conference. But you're right. Wednesday, I don't want to say do or die, but that's when you really got to take a stand. It's a team that's going nowhere. They're a bad squad. They've got some talent on that team, but that's a very beatable team, and you have to, especially on home ice, you owe it to yourselves to grab those 2 points Wednesday night.
This team deserves to make the playoffs. People can agree or disagree with me. I don't care. But they're doing it without their team, and they've been doing it without their team for quite some time now, and still are able to be where they are. I'm not a shill for the team. I do not, nothing. But I will just say, you get your team back. This team deserves to be in the playoffs, and I think they'll get it done, because I think the effort with the current team that they have, with the guys out, are hanging in there and are fighting hard. And no, you're not going to win every game. But I believe this team is a playoff team, Kevin. Now we can move on. I'm done with my rant.
I love it. Well, we do have the Frozen Four coming up next week. Man, I just wish they would play. I hate that week in between, but whatever. That's not part of the conversation. You go into St. Louis next week, and I'm very much looking forward to both of those matchups. Let's start with DU against Western Michigan. We know how good DU is. Western Michigan has been a pain in the butt all season long as well. What do you make of the first matchup? They'll, I think, drop the puck on that one at 4:00 on the 10th.
Well, they know each other quite well, having played 4 times in the regular season, and then obviously in the NCHC championship game. So they know each other well. And if the last one went to overtime and Western Michigan won, Denver obviously not happy blowing a 3-0 lead in that game. And so, Denver at this time of the year, they just crank it up and know how to win playoff type hockey games. And so, I think it's going to be a 1-goal game. I can't predict who's going to win, but it should be one heck of a game.
Hard to bet against David Carl, though, right? And the DU Pioneers, like you said, for all the reasons that have been laid out there. I mean, DU is a power, and I know Western Michigan's going to be tough and all that. But if I was going to plunk down money, I think I'd have to take the Pioneers.
Yeah. Just when you look at both these teams, they're not great teams. They're really good teams, and like every team, they have their flaws, but, you have that extra edge in how David Carl and his staff, he's got a great staff, how they prepare for a team, how they dissect a team. And so I'm and take nothing away from Western Michigan in the year that they've had. And Pat Furschweiler's done a great job as their head coach. But it's just, until you beat Denver, they are the champs, right?
Yep.
From a year ago, and their goaltender, gets hot at this time of the year, and so that stigma in itself is something that Western Michigan is going to have to try and break.
So when we talked earlier this week, you were expecting a defensive battle between those two squads, where the complete opposite between Penn State and Boston University. You think that's going to be wide open run and gun hockey?
Well, I think their goalies are going to be left hung out to dry a little bit. But that being said, you have 2 Russian goaltenders starting in the nets, one for BU and one for Penn State. And both of them are really, really good. Arseny Sergeyev for Penn State has literally put them on his back, and is just, there's no doubt in my mind he's been the best goaltender the second half of the season. And this is a Penn State team who we've talked about, who lost their first nine, get that, 9 conference games. Now, granted, in that time, he was hurt for a lot of those games. And once he returned, they've been as good as anybody in the country. They can score, they can skate, they at times can play chaotic hockey. They throw pucks at the net. And then you have BU, who they like to get up and down the ice as much as anybody in college hockey, and they can score goals. Cole Eiserman, who was a former Gopher commit, leads them up front, and the Hudson brothers, one on the back end, one up front, are just like their brother in Montreal, excellent players. So to me, it could be a shootout, but then again, you've got the goaltenders who are so great. So that's going to be another fun game.
Who are you picking in that one?
I got to go with the Big Ten.
Okay.
I'm sticking with the Big Ten. Penn State has just been on a tear. And I always tell you this too, Kevin, is that when you have a belief, and not 5 guys, not 8 guys, not 10 guys, but 21 guys that believe that there's no way we're going to lose, that tells you something. How Penn State has felt this whole second half of the year. And so I'm going to pick them to win.
Okay, and we'll break it down in further detail next Saturday, and it could be DU against Penn State. But your early projection, if it becomes the Pioneer against the Nittany Lion, who are you picking in the championship to hoist the hardware next Saturday around 10 o'clock at night?
If Penn State can understand that everything is not going to happen in every shift, meaning, be patient in your approach to how you play this game. Don't stop the way you're playing, but don't get frustrated when you're not getting the results that you're getting throughout the course of a game. Then then I would pick Penn State to win the national title.
Isn't it incredible how far Penn State has come in a relatively short amount of time? I remember when the Gophers entered the Big Ten and we saw all these Ohio State and Penn State. What are they going to do in college hockey? Oh, my God. Well, they've risen through the ranks really quickly, actually.
Penn State, Ohio State's been around for a long time, in the CCHA. But Penn State, Terry Pagula, giving $100 million to build the stadium, build the program, and Guy Gadowski, has done a terrific job there. They don't get a lot of high draft picks, which kind of surprises me a little bit, being such a big university that they are. But he's done a great job of constructing his team, and you know what? They're on the map now, and good for them.
We're down to 3 for the Hobie Baker Award. Is Zeev Buium of Denver. Of course, we know that name very well. Isaac Howard from Michigan State, and Ryan Leonard from Boston College. I assume Ryan Leonard is the odds-on favorite to grab it. Any chance Zeev Buium or Isaac Howard could grab it from him?
Well, I thought going in when the top 10 were named, I thought Isaac Howard would be the guy. Every time they needed a big goal for Michigan State this year, he was the guy. He was consistent in his play all year. He improved dramatically from last year to this year. But you could make a case for all 3 of the guys. And I could add a 4th in Aiden Fink for Penn State. He didn't make the top 3. You know what? He was as good as anybody in the country all year long for Penn State up front, a Nashville pick. So, it gets down to who do you like just a little bit more. All 3 are deserving, and I'll add Fink as a 4th. That would be very well deserved if any of those guys got it.
Yeah, Jimmy Snuggerud made the top 10, did not make the final cut for the top 3. He, along with a slew of other guys, out the door for the Golden Gophers. Your Golden Gopher squad is going to look a lot different come next fall there, Patrick.
Yeah, and that's okay. And that's the beauty of college hockey. Obviously, we're seeing it dramatically more with a lot of teams throughout college hockey, just because you're a free agent every year. I think over 200 guys in the portal, which is insane. But they have the ability to do that, and to a certain extent, it's fun. To a certain extent, I hate it. But no, Minnesota lost 6 guys.
Yeah.
To the signing contracts and other guys due to graduation. And you know what? You rebuild, you reconstruct. You may have a different style of play, but you know what? Bob and his staff do such a remarkable job at filling the holes that they need. So, it gives you some excitement into seeing something new every year, too.
Tell you what, I was putting my place on the talkback and via the text line. I took a shot at the Eagles. I mean, yeah, this would be a great concert back in the 70s, but what is the Eagles like in 2025? Well, a lot of people are really sticking up for them and saying that's going to be a hell of a concert. I think you could watch paint dry at the Sphere and have a great time. I don't know what this version of the Eagles are like, but everyone's telling me you guys are going to really enjoy it tonight.
Well, I saw him 2 years ago at the X, and it was fantastic.
Okay.
And from what I've heard, it's terrific, and the venue and all of that is whatever. I'm going to have fun.
I know you will. Hey, happy birthday again to Andrea. I don't know when we'll talk to you next, but if not before then, definitely next Saturday, 10 a.m. we'll be face to face as we get ready for Beyond the Pond.
And per usual, thank you for carrying the show. And I'm very disappointed that I missed, you know what I missed?
Brett Blakemore's breakaways. Yeah, he was disappointed that he had to call you, is what he told me when he picked up the phone to call you.
Probably, right? No. I love Brett. I love him.
I know it.
But, I just got to work with him. That's all.
I agree. Go have fun with your family. Right. We'll talk to you next week.
Right, thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Pat Michelleti out there in Vegas. He's going to see the Eagles at the Sphere. I think it'll be fun. I'd go watch anything at the Sphere. I think that'll be a cool. I just don't know what the Eagles bring, but like you guys are telling me, they're awesome. They're fantastic. I don't care that they're 70s. It's a cliche that they're old and they're has-beens. I don't know. I mean, at some point, things go away in your musical career, but I guess they're still good. So I'll take your word for it. And I can't wait to get the review from Pat Michelleti once that's all said and done. We're going to take a break. We got a short segment coming up before we talk to Frank Seravalli. So on the other side, we'll get to more of your talkbacks. So squeeze them in now. We're giving away Wild tickets. You can get your own at wild.com/hockey tickets. That's next on The Fan.
This is Wild Captain Jared Spurgeon, and you're listening to Falness and Michelleti on Beyond.
I think the biggest disappointment for me in this Wild fall down the standings is that they're going to end up playing Winnipeg right away in the playoffs, and to me that's just going to be another one and done. Hopefully they can keep ahead of St. Louis here and maybe eke out a series against Vegas, but I'm not real optimistic.
We're working our ass off and trying to piece together a win. It's been a challenge. There's nothing but negativity coming from just about every single person aside of the guys in this room. And
Brett Blakemore.
It's hard when you work a whole year and sacrifice your body and everything you can to win, and just can't find one. But that's just the time of year it is. It's on to the next one. It's just we got to refocus for Dallas on Sunday and piece together some wins.
Brock Faber last night in the post-game show, listening to him, listening to Matt Zuccarello, listening to John Hines. The frustration level is at an all-time high, and there's been some moments over the course of this season that have been frustrating, and I don't think any of it compares to what this team is going through now. Again, it's not a lack of effort. There's no doubt about that. These guys are trying like crazy to get out of this funk, this malaise, this little rut that they found themselves in at the absolute worst time of the year. there. But I'll go back to what I've harped on since we opened the show at 10 o'clock. They're still in the driver's seat. They're in the top 8. I guarantee you Calgary would love to be in the position that the Wild are in and have to hold off the guys below them. Right now, the Wild have that position. Yes, the Flames are down by 5 points, and they've got 2 games in hand. But I'll tell you what, the Wild are still in a spot to secure their place in the playoffs if they handle their business. What does that look like over the course of the last 5 games? Go 500. Grab, I don't even know what the point situation would be, but if they can that's a huge win. Like Pat said, that's a huge potential on Wednesday night on home ice against the San Jose Sharks, where the troops might be back on the ice with them. You might get a Kirill Kaprizov back. You might get a Jules Eriksson back. But regardless if they're in the lineup or not, those are 2 points that you have to have. But it'd be nice to see them plant their flag at center ice come tomorrow and make a stand against the Dallas Stars, that they're not going to be pushed around, and that, they had a bad going out east. Now they have an opportunity on home ice to put a show on for the home crowd.
Yeah, think about if they find a way to get 2 points tomorrow against the Stars. I mean, what a momentum builder that would be.
It would be huge, especially considering how things went on the road, where they didn't play terrible in the first 2 games. Last night wasn't good. I mean, there's just nobody is going to try to tell you any differently, but 2 out of a possible 6 points out east, that's 100% disappointing. So it is what it is. They put themselves in a precarious spot, but again, they are still in the driver's seat, so we'll see where it goes from here. I've got a bone to pick with you. I went out there to fill up my coffee to try to help my voice.
Yes.
It says I have to heat up the water. All right, so that took me, this was like 20 minutes ago. So I hit the buttons. I walked away.
Fault?
Yeah. You didn't tell me that I had to heat up the water. So then I say, all right, well, I'll just go get a bottle of water. I can buy a bottle of water, right? Well, it doesn't take cards. Who carries cash anymore? So I feel like you're trying to sabotage me.
I've never made coffee in this building one time, so I don't know. I think there is the water dispenser.
Yeah.
You switch it to hot.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That could have worked. Well, anyway, I did. 20 minutes ago, I heated up the water. I went back, got my coffee, and now I feel better. I feel like my voice has come along as the show has gone on. I thought I was going to go, in the opposite direction.
I thought we were in trouble.
We are getting through it, and that's a good thing. We're late for a break. Keep those talkbacks coming. At some point, somehow, we're giving away tickets, including Wild tickets to see the Stars tomorrow in St. Paul. Matinee hockey, nothing better, an opportunity to take it to the former North Stars, and you get a chance to see it for yourself. If you don't get that text, you can get your own tickets at wild.com/hockey tickets. We're talking to one of the best NHL insiders next. Frank Seravalli joins us on The Fan.
This is Ryan Hartman of the Minnesota Wild, and you're listening to the best hockey show anywhere, Beyond the Pond on The Fan.
For more. Second unit here, Ovechkin, he scores! Alex Ovechkin has 8:94, and the bench empties here at Capital One Arena. Ovechkin has reached the 7th. He needs one more to go one step beyond. He has tied Wayne Gretzky for the most all time in NHL history.
John Walton, one of us, talked to him when the Caps were in town. He's got a historic call there last night for Alex Ovechkin, tied Wayne Gretzky. Unbelievable that it has happened, and it is so cool to see history unfold right before our very eyes. A guy that's chronicling everything in regards to that and everything across the National Hockey League is Frank Seravalli of the Daily Faceoff. Frank, welcome to Beyond the Pond. I'm going to start with a listener question. This comes in from Mike at The Athletic. He says, Frank, how much do you enjoy being the president of the Pro Hockey Writers Association? This is from Mike R.
Yeah, interesting question. I would say some days more than others. Generally, I am the punching bag for any writer that has a complaint about anything going on. And I think, it's been enjoyable at times, but most days not all that fun.
How much have you heard from Mike R. In the Twin Cities metro area? Is he a guy that's constantly filling up your inbox?
In a good way, though, because he's an ally and he's on my side, and a good friend. So I'd say, yes, he's been very helpful to help run this organization.
You would think a friend and an ally wouldn't set me up with a softball like that to get you started right off the bat, though.
Well, I mean, he is a unique guy.
Oh, my God. Amen. Again, we're talking to Frank Seravalli, one of the best in the business, NHL insider. He's got it all laid out. He usually is the one with all the breaking news, and he's one of our favorites here on Beyond the Pond. Let's start right off with the great chase. Alex Ovechkin has done what I think most, not that long ago, thought was unthinkable, but he's caught Wayne Gretzky, now tied for the greatest goal scorer in the history of the National Hockey League. What did you think of the events last night?
Unbelievable theater. I mean, really from start to finish, scoring in the first 4 minutes of the game to everyone being on the edge of their seat in the final minutes as he had what felt like 5 or 6 chances, even after Ryan Leonard had scored his first NHL goal on the empty net. I think the pomp and circumstance and the history is one thing, but one thing that stands out to me is just listening to Wayne Gretzky after the game, who said, you know, why are you here? And he always wanted to be the first person to shake Alex Ovechkin's hand when the record is tied or broken. But beyond that, he said, this is about the integrity of the game. And I thought that was really fitting because you think about Alex Ovechkin and a lot of people want to put him in different boxes over the course of his career. This guy can't win. He doesn't try. He doesn't play defense. He's a one-trick pony, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, he does score empty net goals, and they count just the same. But the decision to say, you know what, to my coach and Spencer Carberry, I don't want to be on the ice with a chance to break the record with an empty netter. I mean, they would have set him up. It would have been possible. It would have been great theater to have hats raining down on him to complete the hat trick, his 34th hat trick in his career, and then also break the record at the same time on home ice with Wayne Gretzky in the building for the first time. It would have been amazing. But I love that he just said, you know what, I want to do it with a goalie in the net.
I think that's fantastic, too. I just can't believe that the way that whole thing unfolded. When you look at his career, and number 1 overall pick back in 2004. He scored a ton of goals, now 894 in his NHL career. And at some point, obviously, it could be right off the bat, he's going to break that record and there will be a goalie in the net and he will score it probably from the left dot as he always does. But this to me, and the record aside, 41 goals in 60 games after missing, a chunk of the season with a broken leg. To me, this is maybe his most astonishing season of his illustrious career. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, 6 weeks he missed with that broken leg, and beyond that, he seems to be moving better than he has in the last few years. He's making more things happen, and it's not just the goal scoring. The shooting is off the charts. He's got a career best 18+% shooting percentage this season.
Yeah.
And it's also happened in a season in which the Washington Capitals are challenging for the President's Trophy. I mean, this is one of the best teams in the league that we thought a couple years ago he's going to be playing out the string on this contract with a nothing team around him. And they've done a fantastic job of building this all back up again as he gets toward next year's the last year of his 5-year deal. And he's not only going to have a record in hand, but is going to have a really good opportunity to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought going into this season, they'd be in the same boat as Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, I mean, they're just circling the drain here at the end of the season. And I thought the Caps, I don't know that I thought that they would contend for the President's Trophy. And here they are, 107 points, 49 wins, and leading the Eastern Conference. I had John Walton on last week. We didn't predict that going into the season. Maybe you saw it more clearly than we did.
No, I can't sit here and pound my chest and say that I did. I thought that they would be a playoff team based on the way that last season went, and I really liked the vibes that they had with Spencer Carberry, but I didn't see Connor McMichael having a career year and Dylan Strome having a career year and Alexei Protas being the absolute beast that he is. And to be honest, I'm not even sure that all of this is sustainable. Like, will Protas be a 30-goal scorer perennially? Did anyone see Tom Wilson after the significant reconstructive knee surgery having the year that he's had? Yeah. Probably not. Like, this team has a lot of mojo that the Seattle Kraken had 2 years ago when everyone had a fantastic year, and then they've really struggled to replicate or duplicate it since. maybe that happens with this Caps team, maybe not, but then you see someone like Ryan Leonard enter the lineup and the comfort that he's found with each passing game. And then you see the other guys that they've got on the way with Cole Hudson and Protas's younger brother. And like the list goes on and on. Like they've got an embarrassment of riches in their prospect system that they've drafted incredibly well there. That's going to set them apart.
Of course, I got to get over to the Western Conference and talk about the problems the Wild are having at this point. But since we are in the East, I'll keep it there for a second. The Caps probably feel like the team to beat at this point. Who's knocking on their door? Is it the Maple Leafs leading the Atlantic? The Panthers, who are going to get Matthew Tkachuk back at some point? He's going to join forces with Brad Marchand to become the most annoying tandem in the National Hockey League. Who is it that's knocking on their door there in the Eastern Conference?
Oh, I think the Panthers are the team to beat. They're the 800-pound gorilla. And it's the Stanley Cup defending champions. It's also the team that went to the finals 2 years in a row. But they're not at their full complement yet, to your point. Getting Tkachuk back, getting Aaron Ekblad back off of this PED suspension, getting a full dose of – it's not just Marchand and Tkachuk, but what about Marchand, Tkachuk, and Sam Bennett?
Yeah, you're right.
That's a handful. And then Seth Jones is kind of coming into his own a little bit after a pretty rocky start. So, like, I like every facet of the Florida Panthers. I think no matter which way the top of the Atlantic Division shakes out, and as tough as that first-round matchup with the Lightning might be, I think they're the team to beat in the East.
All right, so over in the Western Conference, we've been watching this Wild team struggle here, Frank. At one point, they were number one, not only in the Central, in the Western Conference. They had the best record in the National Hockey League. That's gone away, and the alarm bells are being sounded in the state of hockey as they come off a 3-game trip out east and grab 2 out of a possible 6 points. Either talk us off the ledge or push us over it. Where are your feelings on the Wild at this point?
I'm going to do a little bit of both.
Oh, good.
I'm going to tell you that this Wild team was not nearly as good as they showed at the start of the year with the record that you mentioned, and they're not nearly as bad as they've been during this downturn.
Yep.
There's so few teams in the league that can survive missing the pieces that they have, and I'd say the Wild are definitely not one of those teams. We know the struggles to score. I think they've defended a little bit better. They've gotten obviously some soft goals at times, but I'm a big believer in their goaltending tandem as a whole. Mm-hmm. And I just think they're such a different team once you get Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek back that I'm pretty bullish on the Wild. I've been saying for the last few weeks to anyone that'll listen, as people are saying, oh, this is a team that's losing their grasp on a playoff spot. No, they're not. It's math. That's not happening. And beyond that, I think the Wild are a live dog in round one because they're likely going to have those pieces back. And because even if a team gets the Wild in round one and they're a significant favorite, you might be able to survive against Minnesota in the first round. But I can almost guarantee you that you're going to be leaving that series bruised and bloodied.
Interesting.
This is a difficult team to play against. They're tough, they're big, they're strong, and I think they're more built for playoff hockey than regular season hockey. Now, again, I'm not predicting that they're going to win a round, and everyone knows how annoying that is, but this is a team that the brightest days are in front of them. They haven't even gotten there yet.
So, Mr. NHL Insider, what are you hearing about Kirill Kaprizov? What are you hearing about Joel Eriksson Ek? Because that's the part, when you talk about things that are missing right now, those are the two big pieces missing from this lineup in a team that can't score. One of the 5 best players on earth is Kirill Kaprizov when he's healthy. What are you hearing?
You'd be better off asking your texter there, Mike R.
I thought you might say that.
I would say that it certainly seems like they're on track to be back before the regular season ends. That was their plan the whole time, which is why they didn't go out and spend any of Kaprizov's money on LTIR. And they seem to have gotten good news and look good while they're skating, that everything seems to kind of be falling in place. I know everyone's thinking, all right, this isn't soon enough. And I'm also not necessarily surprised by how long it's taken for Kaprizov. I had some friends that ran into him while he was on vacation during the Four Nations break. And while he's sitting on a beach, they said, yeah, I'm nowhere close to coming back. And that has proven true. Obviously, it's been a while. And, to speak to where the Wild are without him, like he was just finally passed for the goal lead by Matt Boldy.
Yeah.
So he's missed like 40 games this year. It's crazy to think how important he is to their team, how much he's been missing, and how much they can't wait to have him back.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I asked you about the who's the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. Let's turn it over to the Western Conference then. When I look at the powers, there is no easy path. Wherever the Wild end up, you say they're going to end up in the top 8 and they'll have a playoff opponent. I don't care if it's Winnipeg, if it's Vegas, if it's Dallas, if it's LA. There is no easy path in the West, is there?
No, there isn't, and that's why I feel really uncomfortable giving you a team to beat. But if you put a gun to my head right now and I had to pick one, I'd say the Dallas Stars. I think they're gonna, in a very similar vein to the Wild, that team with Miro Heiskanen back, and that part is even more unclear than the Wild situation as to when exactly he's going to be back, because he might miss a round or might miss part of a round. They're playing well at the right time. Rantanen is seemingly adjusting a lot better. They've got the deepest top 9 in the league. They really struggle on the right side of their blue line, but their left is as good as anyone. And they've got a fantastic goalie in Jake Ottinger. So I like Dallas. I tend to actually like them a bit more than Winnipeg. But the tough part will be going head-to-head against Colorado, because even after changing out half of their roster over the course of this season, the Avs are playing really well as well.
Yeah, they are. And we talk about all this. We haven't even brought up the St. Louis Blues, who have a franchise record 11-game win streak going here. They won't go away.
Or the Golden Knights.
Or the Golden Knights. You're right.
I wouldn't sleep on Vegas. Like, that defense, when they've got everyone playing and healthy, like, they're as good and mobile as anyone in the league.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. I go there all the time, but if fans go to dailyfaceoff.com, what are they going to find there, Frank?
They're going to find the most updated site in terms of news and information around the league, fantasy lineups. You can see lines and D pairs, starting goalies, and then commentary and opinion, and as well as breaking news. So it's got a little bit of everything.
I love it. I love going to that site. Love following you on the X Machine as well. Frank, thank you very much for taking time for me, for our listeners, and even Mike R. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Have a good one.
There he is, Frank Seravalli from the Daily Faceoff. You can find him on Twitter at Frank_Seravalli, Seravalli. And Brett, when you talk about NHL insiders, yeah, you've got the Bob McKenzie of college hockey in Brad Schlossman, but this guy is the real deal. And we know how good Russo is here locally, but think of it on a global stage. That's Frank Seravalli. When there's breaking news happening, usually it's coming from his keypad.
Almost all of the time when I'm talking hockey, I have Daily Face-Off, especially with the line combinations. I mean, that's the best thing ever. I can look, and they update that thing regularly.
Yeah.
So
not only that, but the starting goaltenders. The minute someone announces who their starting goaltender, it's out there via the Daily Faceoff. So he does a good job. Of course, Russo was on with Guardsy yesterday, and I asked him, give me a shot.
Mike R, you mean?
Mike R. I asked him, give me a shot to give Frank, because I know they're close. He's close with everybody in the National Hockey League. He says, ask him about being the president of the Pro Hockey Writers Association. And yeah, he got a nice little giggle out of that. So how do you feel? Now you heard it from Frank Seravalli. You're sounding the alarm bells. When you talk about DEFCON, you're at DEFCON 1. Sounds like he's at DEFCON 6. Like he's not worried about the Wild at all. He thinks they're going to, and they'll be in the top 8.
Well, I want to say, for the record, I want this team to make the play. I wanted to make a deep run.
That's not a question. I get it.
I just want to reiterate that. This is my favorite team in all of sports. I love this team. I want them to win.
Okay.
I just worry that when they get Kaprizov and Ek back, which we still don't know when that is, they need to have that runway, and they need to. It's not like they're gonna, hit the ice running, so to speak, and be at their 100% best like we need them to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these are elite athletes, though, too. So we won't know until they're on the ice and what they look like. Only time I've seen them, in the last couple of months is in a practice situation where they weren't taking contact yet. Apparently that's going to change here over the course of, especially you get through Sunday, then you got a couple of days off before the Wild host the San Jose Sharks. So maybe that's the runway that leads into one, possibly two of them returning to the lineup. I guess we'll find out. I didn't know how we were going to survive today there, Brett. When I opened that mic at about 10 to 10, I thought, oh my God, what is going on here? So I know it wasn't the most pleasant listening experience, but we got through it. We had some fun, and we had some good guests along the way, too. And Wild Joe Radio, and also Frank Seravalli, and then the great Pat Michelleti joining us from Vegas. It was a fun adventure.
It was. I'm anxiously awaiting, especially the game Wednesday. That's the one that is circled to me, because if Kirill Kaprizov is flying, it's going to be some fun hockey to watch.
I hope so. I hope you're right. That is the voice of Brett Blakemore, doing a great job, not only with Brett Blakemore's breakaways, but helping to guide this ship through between 10 and noon. We'll be back on the air next week. We'll get you a full preview of the championship game for the Frozen Four and see where the Wild lie between now and then. 3 games between now and then, including tomorrow when we're on the air when the Wild host the Dallas Stars. We'll be with you starting at 1:45, so we'll talk to you then.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.